Hello friends, welcome back. This is Himanshu Verma. In the previous lecture, we learned how to find reflection coefficient at load end and at any location small l from the load end by using Smith chart. To get reflection coefficient at load end, just mark the normalized load in the Smith chart and then simply read the value of u and v on horizontal and vertical axis respectively, where u and v are real and imaginary part of reflection coefficient at load end. Now if we want to get reflection coefficient at any location small l from the load end, for this just draw a circle with center at origin and radius is equal to mode of reflection coefficient at load end. And now move an angle of 2 beta l in clockwise direction on this circle. Why clockwise rotation? Because in reflection coefficient expression it is gamma l into e power minus 2 beta l, where l is any distance from load end. From load end means away from the load end. Now due to negative sign we take clockwise direction, and because L is any distance away from the load, that's why we can say if we are moving away from the load in the transmission line, then that will be equivalent to clockwise rotation in the Smith chart. And if we are moving towards the load end means away from the source end, then L can be replaced by minus L and then angle will become plus 2 beta L, and plus 2 beta L means an anti-clockwise rotation. Therefore we can say if we are moving towards the load or away from the source, then that movement is equivalent to an anti-clockwise rotation in the Smith chart. So that we should always remember, movement on transmission line away from the load is equivalent to clockwise rotation in Smith chart, and movement on transmission line towards the load is equivalent to an anti-clockwise rotation in the Smith chart. So in general words, if we have found reflection coefficient at any location on transmission line, then reflection coefficient at any distance from that point towards the source is given by a 2 beta L rotation in clockwise direction, and a L distance from that point towards the load is given by a 2 beta L rotation in anti-clockwise direction. So now this should be very much clear how we can find reflection coefficient at any location in the transmission line. After doing this, now observe one more case also. Suppose we want to analyze a transmission line for open circuit load. So for this we put the source on transmission line here and we left the load and open circuit, and now we want to calculate voltage and current level at different locations on transmission line practically. Now due to open circuit load, reflection coefficient is 1. It means the complete power will be reflected back and moves towards the source. But in actual practice, due to open circuit, some power get transmitted into the space, and that's why the reflected power is not same as it should be theoretically, and therefore we received error in voltage and current value throughout the transmission line. So this structure is not appropriate to analyze an open circuit condition. So now question arises, is there any other way by which we can analyze an open circuit condition without getting error? The answer is yes. For analyzing open circuit condition, we put a short circuit load on transmission line, and now we move a distance of lambda by 4 towards the source. And as we studied in previous lecture, after a movement of lambda by 4, an open circuit load converts into short circuit load and a short circuit load converts into open circuit load. So in this case, as we have moved a distance of lambda by 4, so if we look load impedance from here, then instead of short circuit we will see input impedance infinite, means open circuit condition. So now we will consider this location as load end, and on seeing load from here, the visible load is infinite, means open circuit. So we are observing here in actual practice we put a short circuit load, but if we provide a lambda by 4 segment also, then this complete structure act as a open circuit load. So now if we need open circuit load, then instead of keeping line open, we put this structure as open circuit load, and if we put this structure as open circuit load, then we can avoid the radiation or energy which was transmitting in free space due to open line. So finally we can say we can manipulate a load by putting some extra transmission line with the load, And this technique can be used for impedance matching also. Means in actual practice the load is not equal to characteristic impedance of the line, but by putting some extra transmission line we can manipulate the load and it can be made equal to characteristic impedance and therefore perfect matching. So this is a method of getting perfect matched load while the actual load is not equal to characteristic impedance, and this type of technique is known as stub matching technique, which we will study later. Now after doing this we again come to the Smith chart, and this time we are interested in finding the input impedance at any location small l from the load end. The procedure for calculating this is very simple. If you have learned how to find the reflection coefficient at any location small l from the load end, then you have already done the job. This time now you just need to find what is the normalized load impedance correspond to that reflection coefficient, because that normalized impedance is normalized input impedance looking into the line at distance L from the load. Now question is how to find normalized impedance correspond to reflection coefficient here. This is also very simple, because now we have a point from where a constant R circle must be passing and a constant X circle must be passing. So in Smith chart we can find actual value of that constant R and constant X circle, and this point is the intersection point. So we can mark normalized impedance correspond to this point, and that normalized impedance is normalized input impedance in actual practice. If we see carefully, to get reflection coefficient at load end, first we mark normalized load and then we find reflection coefficient at load end. But here is reverse the case. Here we first find reflection coefficient and then we mark normalized impedance, which is normalized input impedance. If we multiply normalized input impedance by Z naught, means characteristic impedance, then we will get exact value of input impedance. Now next task is to find voltage standing wave ratio, that is VSWR, by using Smith chart. For finding VSWR we must be given a normalized load and then we will be asked to find VSWR. So for this, first we will mark that load into the Smith chart, then this vector will be gamma L. Now we will draw a circle with center, origin and radius gamma L. Now what we observe, magnitude wise mode of gamma L is same throughout this circle, means on the periphery of the circle the mode of gamma L is same, only phase is different. And as we already know, VSWR is equal to 1 plus mode of gamma L divided by 1 minus mode of gamma L. This expression shows VSWR only depends upon magnitude of gamma L, and magnitude of gamma L is same on the periphery of this complete circle. So we can say on this complete circle mode of gamma L is same and therefore VSWR is also same, and that's why this circle is known as constant VSWR circle. Now our question is, what is the value of VSWR correspond to this mode of gamma L? For this we move on VSWR circle and come to the real axis, and we mark this point which is an intersection of real axis and constant VSWR circle. Now for this point we find the normalized impedance. Obviously from this point a constant R circle must be passing, and for this point constant X circle value is 0, because this point lie on horizontal axis and this horizontal axis is correspond to X is equal to 0. So at this point normalized impedance is purely real because only small r value exists. Therefore we just read constant R circle value which is passing through this point, and the value of constant R circle passing from this point is the actual value of VSWR. So small r correspond to this point is equal to VSWR for this mode of gamma L. Now what is the speciality of the constant R circle which is passing through this point? If we observe carefully on this constant VSWR circle, if we mark any point and draw a constant R circle from that point, then that R circle value will be less than the R circle value which is passing from this point. Why so? Because as the radius of constant R circle increases, constant R value decreases. So this point is correspond to maximum value of constant R circle. So I can represent it as R max. So R max is equal to VSWR. Now if we observe this point, so for this point also constant X circle value is 0 and only constant R circle exists. but because this is farmost point, so constant R value will be minimum for this point. So the constant R circle which is passing through this point, that can also give VSWR, because this is correspond to minimum value of R circle. That's why VSWR will be equal to 1 upon R minimum. Obviously VSWR value is always greater than 1, and all constant R circles which lie in this region have value less than 1. So the inverse of that will give a value greater than 1. Therefore we can find VSWR by knowing either constant R circle correspond to this point or constant R circle correspond to this point. If we know constant R circle correspond to this point, then just that value of constant R circle will give the VSWR, and if we know constant R circle value correspond to this point, then we have to take inverse of that constant R circle value to get the VSWR. So friends, in this way we have known how to find reflection coefficient, input impedance and VSWR by using Smith chart. We stop here. In the next lecture we will learn some impedance matching technique. Please like and share the video and subscribe the channel. If you have any doubt, please ask in comment section. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.